Okay, so I figured I needed to make a follow-up video about this, just because I'm trying to figure out all the ways that it affects everything. Sorry, for reference, in case you're just stumbling onto this for the first time, I discovered a couple days ago that I have aphantasia or aphantasia, which means that I don't see mental imagery. I don't see mental imagery like hardly at all. And I only just discovered that you all see mental imagery all the time. And my mind is still just blown. This is such a bizarre thing to try and not navigate. I've been navigating it my whole life unknowingly, but I don't know. It's just so weird. I've never had to think about my thinking in this way, so I don't know. It's just strange, but yeah. So just to answer a few questions that I've seen in response to my last video, I'll try to answer them in print as well. But let's see. Somebody asked if I dream. Yeah, I said that in the first video. It's like psycho-spiritual experiences, like dreams. Yesterday I mentioned EMDR, if you've ever had that kind of psychotherapy, which actually sort of simulates the process of REM sleep anyway, so that makes sense that I would see images when I've had that therapy, but also when I dream. It's kind of the same thing. Let's see. I should have actually, I'm sorry, I should have looked at the questions first, but I'll still answer them anyway when I start typing. So memory. I never understood or thought about all the ways that this affected my memory because I didn't know it was a thing. Yes, I have a lot of memory struggles, but it mostly pertains to learning certain things. So like yesterday I mentioned like mathematics, because I think there's a spatial awareness component to understanding math clearly that I am lacking. And as I said yesterday in my video, I really struggle with spatial awareness, specifically in my immediate surroundings. But anyway, yeah, so it's definitely affected my memory, which has affected learning. Other thing I think of besides math is I've really struggled with languages. So when I was little, I actually lived in Mexico. I was about 3.5. I lived there till I was 4, not long. But my grandmother lived there. She had a restaurant, and my mom and I went to live with her for a while. And I was 3.5, so I picked up the language like that. It was nothing. And when I got back to the States, I never used it again. And by the time I got to high school, I thought, just take Spanish. That's going to be an easy A. It was not. I only remembered the things that I let you learn from Sesame Street, like agua. That's all I remembered, so that was a struggle. But yes, then I took Latin during my undergrad. I love it because it's such a root for especially English and any of the Romance languages in general. But I really struggled. That's not necessarily because of aphantasia, though. I mean, there are the way, for example, that languages are taught is typically really terrible. We just give people the grammar, and then we expect them to learn this and to break everything down and figure out which word, which tense goes where in which situation, as opposed to just learning a language naturally where it's just a part of your life. It's embodied. Language is embodied. So it's not necessarily that the aphantasia has affected my learning ability when it comes to language or even math. Yeah, it may be connected. I'm just trying to sort all this stuff out, and I figure if I put this out there, then maybe other people who are dealing with this will be like, yes, I've had the same issues. Or not. I don't know. I don't know which parts of these are connected to the aphantasia, this inability to have mental imagery. I just don't picture things, at least not in the way that you do. So like if you ask me, picture this. Somebody said, somebody said, so if I say, picture this, Sicily, 1922, you wouldn't just have an immediate image of Sophia from the Golden Girls pop, which is really great. You know, it's weird. I can see her. I can sort of see images in my head, but it's not the same. It's like the idea of an image. I don't know how else to articulate that at all. It's just, I don't know. It's all very weird. I had to make notes again. So memory is affected. So I don't know how familiar you are with the concept of mind palace, which is what my boy Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes called it, a mind palace, but I think it's called something slightly differently historically. In fact, ancient orators used to use mind palaces to deliver 8-hour speeches before they even wrote them down. So we think we're smart. But yeah, then they would go back and write them down, and they did that by utilizing a mind palace. So the deal is you picture in your mind these different places, and you kind of sort of mentally store information there and whatever connections you make with that particular concept or idea or image. And so the deal is, apparently, when you're able to sort of map your way through, it's a mind map really, you map your way through your knowledge base in that way. And it's highly effective. I can't do that. I can't do that. There's an immediate, like I got this book, I think it was called How to Memorize Anything, and that's what it was about. And I'm like, I got the book while I was taking Latin because I struggled so much with it. And I got it. I'm like, yes, I'm finally I'm going to get this down. This isn't going to be a problem for me anymore. And I started listening to the book, and it got to the part about the mind map or whatever, and everything just shut down. I could not process that. I couldn't make it happen. Let's see. Word problems. Oh my God. Yeah. This is, like, again, I can conceptualize the image, right? So, like, a train leaves Miami and is bound for Alaska at 40 miles per hour, and a plane leaves China, at 10 a.m. its time, and it's flying around the world. Which one will get to their destination first? 42. I don't know. I can't. Word problems were the death of me on any kind of math quiz. Oh God, they were terrible. I just left a lot of them blank. I couldn't process it or understand it. So actually, this is actually really important, because how many other people deal with this? Oh, I learned yesterday, I said 2%. Apparently it's just 1%. But how many people actually deal with this? And, they're struggling as a child or even as an adult, just trying to learn something. That's why this has got to be explored more. Like, how do we do this? And the other thing that I've been thinking about here is, it's very much, I see references to sort of correlation between visual blindness, and it's kind of like I was blind for 45 years, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, I'm like, y'all can see? I think that's why this is just so, I have laughed so hard at this. Even last night, it took me forever to go to sleep because I couldn't stop laughing at the absurdity of this. Like, it's so simple, but we just don't talk about how we mentally process anything. So yeah, I'm 45 and I had no idea that people don't see the same way that I see up here. It just never occurred to me. And you have to understand, like I'm looking at PhD programs in depth psychology, like, but which is just way down, just like into the underworld of existence. And I had no idea that like this gigantic thing was just right in front of me, this huge gem of, I don't know, just understanding not just how I process things and understand things, but how everybody else does around me and how it's so very different. And along that same line, as far as the visual blindness, like if you're born blind, as I understand it, your other senses will compensate. So, a person who is blind probably, or typically, as I understand it, has just their sense of smell and hearing especially. I would also imagine touch are just really heightened so that they can navigate their world with those senses, even though they don't have this major one. So I guess I kind of feel like that's what my brain has done. Like it just compensated. And somebody on there asked me, like, how do I, what did she say? How do I remember things? I don't know. Conceptually, extremely abstractly. I saw a video where a woman said people asked her, like, how do you know where to find your keys? I guess apparently you all just literally sort of visualize the last place that you put them. I just think about the last place I put. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's this web of like abstraction, but also sensory input. So don't underestimate the value of sensory input just because I don't have this one thing. Which brings me actually to, I saw a video this morning that somebody had posted in response to me. I watched that video. It was a man who, I guess he knew he was different, or he just struggled in various ways, but I guess when his mom died, he was able to process it and deal with his grief pretty quickly. And his brothers couldn't. And I don't know if there was a discrepancy in, I don't know if they saw or were offended or upset by the way that he was processed, or they thought he wasn't sad. I don't know what the deal is. So it made the guy wonder, like, what is wrong with me? And I don't know how he made the leap to aphantasia, but I also have seen him and another person, a woman. I guess people get asked like about empathy, because he felt like maybe, I don't know if he felt like he didn't have it. I know the woman that I watched, she said it's something that she struggles with because she can't put herself and imagine what that's like in other people's shoes. I am the exact opposite, so I don't know how this works. I'm a highly sensitive person. Don't conflate that with emotions. I don't mean that I'm constantly crying. I'm talking about my central nervous system. So mine, it's like my central nervous system extends a bit beyond my body. That's a really good explanation that my husband actually gave me, and I don't know a better one. So it kind of feels like, for me, like most of my physical experience of being in a human is often like an assault. Like even the wind, I feel I can't deal with wind at all. It just wipes me out. So I don't really know how this works with me, like being so sensitive, having all my senses are just kind of off the charts. Huh. Anyway, I don't know how this works with empathy for people who have aphantasia, and then there's me. I don't know. I just feel so much more, and I can stand next to you, and if you've got some powerful emotions going on and you don't tell me, I feel it. And I know that may sound weird to some of you, especially if you're far more on the logical end of things, but you can't possibly understand another person's sensorial experience. All you have is your own point of reference. So I don't understand yours. I mean, we have a common experiences as humans, but it's just different. So I would just encourage you to just hear me and not judge, and just say, okay, that's her experience. This is all very difficult to articulate because I've not had to talk about this or think about these things in this way. A couple other things. I cannot lie. I tried a few times in my tweens and teens, and I've tried here and there as an adult, but it is a disaster. Like especially, there is no off-the-cuff lying. I just can't, because that requires imagination that I do not have. I don't know. My mind is blown by kind of sociopathic behavior, or maybe even just highly creative people who can just like that, like rip off some elaborate story. Now, I say I'm fascinated by it. That's relative, because I have been the victim of those fascinating stories. And when you discover that it's a complete fabrication, that's totally different. I'm not talking about manipulating people. I am fascinated. I don't know how to do that. I have no clue. I can't just suddenly make something up. So I guess I just resorted to the other end, which is brutal honesty, which people don't really care for. Go figure. Okay, and then the last thing, I don't know if these things are connected or not, but I actually struggle with a lot of social norms. But I don't know if that's because of this. Like, is it because I'm missing out on certain facial expressions? I don't think that's the case, because I typically read people really well, and I'm highly observant, but there are a lot of social norms that I don't understand. I can't comprehend them. Again, that might not have anything to do with the aphantasia. I'm so curious to talk to someone who specializes in this, and see what they say. Yeah. Oh, as far as the social norms, that could be something different. That could be, I've often thought I'm probably somewhere on the spectrum. But maybe it's less that I'm on the spectrum, and it's more of this aphantasia, just not having the ability to imagine things in the way that you do. I don't know. I'm so baffled by all the ways that this is possibly affecting me. And again, they might not be connected. I have no idea. I'm just still sitting with this, and I watched like one other video. I don't know. It's just so cool. I just need to keep looking at it and figure this out some more. But yeah, that's all. I don't know. There you go. Thanks for listening.